All right, let's jump right in. Today we're looking at AO No Exorcist.
Oh, yeah. This one's going to be fun.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited about this one. It was a listener request, actually.
Oh,
So thanks for sending over the material. I'm always up for a good story with action, and this one seems to have that.
definitely. Tons of action. But it also gets into some really interesting themes, too, like identity and family, good versus evil.
Yeah, the whole shebang. So for anyone who hasn't had the pleasure, what's the basic premise?
Okay, so it all starts with this teenager, Rin Okumura.
Rin Okumura.
Yeah, and he discovers he's not just any regular teen. He finds out he's the son of Satan.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And to make matters even crazier, he's inherited his demonic powers.
No way. That's got to be a lot to process.
You can say that again. Like, imagine suddenly having these blue flames just shooting out of you.
Blue flames, huh? That's got to be a visual.
Yeah, it's pretty striking. And it becomes this visual representation of Rin's, inner struggle. He's got this demonic heritage he obviously can't escape, but he also wants to use his powers for good. It's a classic hero's journey, but with a pretty messed up twist.
Yeah, talk about a dilemma. I mean, how would you even react to finding out you're Satan's kid,
Yeah,
let alone having to control these crazy powers?
right. Most people would probably freak out. But Rin, he decides to become an exorcist, someone who fights demons.
So he's basically fighting against his own nature? That's intense.
Exactly. And that decision to become an exorcist is what sets up the whole conflict of the series.
Oh, I see. It's like he's trying to defy what he's supposed to be.
Yeah, like he's actively choosing to be different from what his bloodline, dictates.
It makes you think about how much of who we are is choice versus, like, just what we're born with, right?
Yeah.
And for Rin, those choices are happening in a world where humans and demons actually exist.
Oh, yeah, they're not just, like, metaphors. You've
Right.
got Asaya, it's the human world, and then there's Gehenna, the demon world.
Okay, so two separate dimensions.
Right, and they're constantly kind of vying for power. And protecting the humans are the exorcists.
So basically a mix of, like, holy warriors and demon hunters.
Pretty much. They're trained to combat and banish any demon that tries to cross over.
Makes sense. So where do these exorcist badasses learn their craft? Is there like a special school?
Oh, there absolutely is. It's called True Cross Academy. You could kind of think of it like the Hogwarts for exorcists. Ha.
I love that. So Rin goes there to learn to control his powers, right? But it's got to be tough to hide such a huge secret.
Totally. Imagine trying to fit in at school while knowing you could literally burst into blue flames at any moment.
And to top it off, his twin brother Yukio is already an exorcist there, right?
Oh.
Talk about some serious family drama.
Oh, the brotherly dynamic is a whole other layer to this story. There's love, jealousy, even resentment. It's complex, for sure.
Sounds like it. And we've also got Shiemi Moriyama. She's got this connection to nature spirits, right?
Yeah, Shimi's a really interesting character. She brings a different element to the story, more connected to nature, and her journey is all about finding her place among the exorcists.
It's always cool to see how different characters find their own strength. And then there's Ryuuji Suguro, Bon.
Ah, Bon. Super driven, wants to be the best exorcist. He's got this vendetta against Satan, too.
Can't really blame him for that one. So we've got all these unique personalities, and they're all connected to Rin in some way.
Yeah, they're definitely not just sidekicks. They all have their own challenges and perspectives, which makes the story so much richer.
Speaking of challenges, Rin's struggle with his identity is central to the whole thing, right? He's literally branded as the son of Satan.
That's exactly it. He's carrying this huge stigma, even though he's choosing to fight against his heritage. It's like he's being judged for something he never asked for.
It really makes you think about those labels we put on people, right? Like, are we defined by our past, our family, or do we get to choose who we are?
Such a good point. And Rin, he doesn't try to hide from who he is. He uses it as a challenge to prove he can be good despite everything.
That's a powerful message. It's like saying, you don't have to let others define you. You can define yourself.
Absolutely. It's about taking ownership of your identity, even when the world wants to put you in a box.
And this idea of defying expectations, it plays out in the relationship between Rin and Yukio, too, right?
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
It's not just sibling rivalry. They're both trying to figure out who they are, in the shadow of this huge legacy. Yukio, he's human, but feels this pressure to be extraordinary, while Rin's trying to prove he's not a monster.
It's like a classic nature versus nurture debate, but with demons and exorcists thrown into the mix.
Aha, exactly. And then you've got Father Shiro Fujimoto, their adoptive father, he's such a key figure in their lives.
He's the one who raised them, loved them unconditionally,
Yeah,
right?
he's the embodiment of family not being just about blood ties. He saw Rin not as a demon, but as a son.
It's like a reminder that family can come from anywhere. And sometimes those bonds are even stronger because they're chosen, not inherited.
And his sacrifice to protect Rin, it sets the stage for Rin's whole journey of redemption.
Redemption, huh? So he's not just trying to prove himself to the world, but also trying to make up for what his dad did. Man, he's got a lot on his shoulders.
He does. It's like he's carrying the weight of generations. But he chooses to fight back, to turn his darkness into something good.
It's a pretty powerful message. Taking responsibility for your past, even if it's not all your fault.
And it ties into this whole good versus evil thing, which Ao no Exorcist explores in a really interesting way.
Yeah, how so?
Well, it's not black and white. It's not just heroes and villains. The lines get blurred, and we see characters on both sides making tough choices.
So it makes you question whether good and evil are even the right words to use.
Exactly. And then you have Rin, the son of Satan, fighting for humanity. It just throws those categories into chaos.
Mind blown. So it's not about where you come from, it's about the choices you make.
Right. Like take Rin's familiar, Kuro. He's a demon, a Nekomata, but he's fiercely loyal to Rin. He shows love, loyalty, even heroism.
See, there you go. A demon doing good. It flips the script on what we think we know about good and evil.
And on the flip side, we see some humans doing some pretty shady stuff in the name of justice, or even just to save themselves.
It all comes back to those choices. So Rin's right in the middle of this whole moral tug-of-war.
Exactly. He has this incredible power, but it's his choices that determine what he does with it.
We all have that potential for both good and bad within us, right? And it's our choices that show who we truly are.
And speaking of choices, don't forget about the whole burden of expectations that weighs on so many characters.
Oh yeah, that's a big one. Like Rin trying to prove he's not a monster just because he's Satan's son.
Right, and Yukio pushing himself to be perfect, maybe to overcompensate for Rin. Even Bon has to deal with his family's legacy and the pressure to restore their honor.
It's like everyone's trapped in these roles they didn't choose.
Right.
And they're all trying to break free and find their own way.
It's something we can all relate to, you know? The pressure to conform to what others expect of us.
But Ao no Exorcist is saying, hey, it's okay to be different. It's okay to challenge those expectations.
It's about finding your own definition of success, your own path, even if it means going against the grain.
And that's just the tip of the iceberg, right? We haven't even talked about the visuals, the action, the way the anime unfolds.
So much more to explore. Like those blue flames, they're not just fire, they're almost an extension of Rin's emotions. And the story itself, it balances these episodic adventures with this larger, overarching mystery.
Ooh, I love a good mystery. We've got a lot to unpack.
We do. We should probably dive into how the anime adapts the original manga next. There's some interesting stuff there.
Okay, sounds good. We'll be back after a quick break to explore that.
And we're back, ready to get visual. Ao no Exorcist doesn't just tell a good story, it looks amazing doing it.
Yeah, visuals are key. So what makes the art style so special? Is it all those crazy demon fights?
Well, the action scenes are definitely a highlight, especially when Rin lets loose with those blue flames. But it's more than that. The way they animate those flames is incredible. It's like they're part of his emotions, you know?
Yeah.
Wild and unpredictable when he's angry.
I can picture that. It must make those fight scenes even more intense.
Absolutely. But even beyond the action, the character designs themselves tell a story. Look at Rin and Yukio. Rin's got this untamed look, spiky blue hair, those intense eyes.
Yeah, he definitely looks the part.
Right. It reflects his rebellious nature. And then you have Yukio, all sharp lines and neatly combed hair.
Showing his more controlled personality. Nice contrast.
Exactly. Their appearances almost foreshadow their different paths. And the animators, they really play with those visual contrasts, especially when the brothers interact.
I bet it's those little details that make a difference. And it's not just the characters, right? Even the backgrounds, the environments, they all feel so detailed and real.
Yeah, Ao no Exorcist does a great job of creating a world that feels believable, even with all the supernatural stuff happening. You're not just watching a story, you're immersed in it.
That's what makes a good anime so captivating. Speaking of the story, Ao no Exorcist balances those standalone adventures with the bigger mysteries surrounding Rin and the whole Asaya Gehenna conflict really well.
It's a good mix. You get those satisfying episodic arcs where Rin and his friends are fighting demons, but there's always this sense that something much bigger is going on in the background.
Keeps you on the edge of your seat, wanting more.
Totally. You're invested in the immediate mission, but you also can't wait to see how it all ties into the bigger picture. It keeps the story fresh.
But I did hear there's a bit of a twist when it comes to how the anime adapts the manga. Something about the first season straying from the source material.
Ah, yeah, that's right. The first season of Ao no Exorcist, it actually diverges from the manga in the later episodes. It introduces storylines and events that aren't in the original.
Oh, wow. So if you're a manga fan, it must be a little strange to watch.
Yeah, it can be jarring for some people, especially if they're attached to the manga's storyline, but the anime creators, they had a reason for doing it.
What was the reason?
Well, they wanted to give the first season a more conclusive ending. They weren't sure if a second season would happen, so they didn't want to leave things on a huge cliffhanger.
Makes sense. Wrap things up nicely, just in case.
Exactly. But the fans who wanted to see the manga story animated, they didn't have to wait forever.
Oh, so there's more.
Yeah. In 2017, they released Ao no Exorcist, Kyoto Saga. This sequel series goes back to the manga and adapts a major arc from the source material pretty faithfully.
So basically, if you want the most accurate version, Kyoto Saga is the way to go.
Yep. But even with the first season taking some liberties, it still captures the heart of Ao no Exorcist. The core themes, the character dynamics, they're all there.
Awesome. So even with the changes, it's a good starting point.
Definitely. And it sets the stage for those more complex, more emotional storylines that come later in the manga.
So we've got the characters, this incredible world, the thought-provoking themes, even the visual style and how it relates to the manga. Man, there's a lot to love here.
And we haven't even mentioned the soundtrack yet. It's phenomenal. Really enhances the whole experience.
Oh man, you're making me want to watch it right now. But before we go down that rabbit hole, what do you think is the most impactful element of Ao no Exorcist? What sets it apart from all the other anime out there?
That's a tough one. I think for me, it's the way it takes these universal human experiences like self-discovery, family, the struggle against expectations, and then it just infuses them with a supernatural, almost mythical energy. It's like watching those classic stories play out in a modern setting.
I see what you mean. We've all felt like outsiders at some point, right?
Yeah.
Struggling against labels, trying to figure out who we are. Rin's journey, embracing his demonic side, but choosing to use it for good, it's a powerful metaphor for how we can all overcome those limitations and define ourselves.
Yeah.
Exactly. And it's not just Rin. Every character is dealing with some form of self-doubt, some force trying to control them, family expectations, societal pressures, even their own inner demons. They're all fighting to break free and create their own destinies.
It's like the anime is saying, hey, being different is okay. Challenging the status quo, that's where the real power lies. And it does all this in this visually stunning, action-packed way that you can't ignore.
You nailed it. Ao no Exorcist is so much more than just fighting demons. It's about embracing who you truly are, even the parts that might seem scary or different. It's about the choices we make, the people we choose as our family, and having the courage to fight for what you believe in no matter what.
And it's not all doom and gloom either. There's humor, there's camaraderie, these moments of lightness that balance out the serious stuff.
Those moments are so important, and they provide that emotional release, that reminder that even when facing incredible danger, you can still find joy and connection with others. It makes the characters feel real, you know?
It's that human element that really makes a story resonate, even if it's about demons and exorcists. It's a reminder that even in the darkest times, we can still find reasons to smile and connect with each other.
Exactly. Ao no Exorcist acknowledges the darkness, but it doesn't let it win. There's always that glimmer of hope, that sense that even the toughest challenges can be overcome with courage, determination, and the support of people you trust.
And sometimes that support comes from the most unexpected places, like a demon cat who just wants to protect his friend. That unexpected loyalty, that compassion, it really gets to you.
It's what makes Ao no Exorcist more than just a simple good versus evil story. It's about those complexities of human nature, the choices we make, the connections we form, even with those who seem different from us.
And we can't forget those visuals, the blue flames, the expressive characters, the detail in every scene. It's all so well done.
Absolutely. The animation style is perfect for the story. It brings those action scenes to life, but it also captures the subtle emotions of the characters. You can really see the passion the creators put into it.
So we've covered a lot of ground. The story, the characters, the themes, the visuals, anything we've missed. What makes Ao no Exorcist a must-watch?
I think we've hit the major points, but there's one more thing I want to highlight. The sense of mystery that runs through the whole series. There are so many unanswered questions, secrets waiting to be revealed. It keeps you hooked. constantly wanting to know more.
Oh, I love that. It's like a puzzle you're piecing together, with each episode giving you a new clue,
Yep.
but you're never quite sure what the full picture is.
Exactly. You're always theorizing, trying to connect the dots, figure out the relationships between characters, the events, the whole mythology of the world. And it makes you want to keep watching.
And when things finally click into place, those aha moments, it makes you appreciate how cleverly it's all put together. Like the creators are rewarding you for paying attention.
And those revelations, they often connect back to those core themes: identity, family, good versus evil. They make you question your assumptions, reevaluate what you thought you knew, and ultimately lead to a deeper understanding of the story.
So AO No Exorcist is entertaining, but it also makes you think. It challenges you to look beyond the surface and find those deeper truths. I like that.
It's that blend of substance and spectacle that makes it so good. You can enjoy it for the action, the characters, or those deeper themes. There's something for everyone.
And it's just visually stunning, with an epic soundtrack to boot. It's clear the creators put their hearts into this one.
Definitely. Ao no Exorcist is a real gem, and I'm glad we had the chance to dig into it.
Me too. Makes me want to go back and rewatch it, catch all the details I might have missed.
That's what's great about these deep dives. It's not just about summarizing a story. It's about sparking new connections, new insights. Makes you appreciate it on a whole other level.
And hopefully it gets our listeners to check it out and form their own interpretations. But before we wrap things up, there's one final thing I want to explore. Something that ties into everything we've talked about, might leave you thinking long after this is over.
Oh, what's that?
It's the whole idea of choice versus destiny. Are our lives predetermined, or do we have the power to make our own choices? It's a question that runs through all of AO No Exorcist.
That's a big one. And it's definitely central to the story. Wynn, being Satan's son, you'd think he's destined for a life of evil, but he chooses to rebel against that. He chooses to fight for good.
Yeah, he's like, nope, I'm making my own path.
Yeah.
That defiance, that determination to be something different than what everyone expects, that's what makes his journey so compelling.
Absolutely. His very existence challenges the idea that our lives are already set in stone. He could have easily embraced his demonic heritage, given in to the darkness, but he actively chooses something different, something that reflects who he wants to be.
And it's not just him, right? Yukio, his twin brother, he's human, but he's constantly trying to prove himself, live up to these expectations. He's making choices too, even if they're driven by this need to be worthy.
You're right. Yukio's story shows that even those who seem to have a clear path laid out for them are still making choices that shape their lives. He could have coasted on his talent, but he pushes himself, maybe to escape his brother's legacy, maybe for his own reasons.
So they're both trying to define themselves on their own terms, break free from those labels, and their choices, even if they come from different places, they put them on these paths that force them to confront who they are, what they believe in.
And that's where things get really interesting, because they're making these individual choices, but they're also part of this larger system, this world where demons and exorcists have been fighting forever. It makes you wonder how much free will they really have.
Whoa, yeah. Like their choices are made within this predetermined framework. Their destinies might be linked because of this ancient conflict, but how they deal with that, how they react to the challenges, that's where their choices come in.
Exactly. It's this constant push and pull between free will and fate. And the anime doesn't shy away from exploring those gray areas, those moments where the characters question if they're really in control or just playing a part in some bigger game.
It's enough to make your head spin, but that's what makes AO No Exorcist so thought-provoking. It doesn't give you easy answers. It throws these big questions at you about identity, choice, destiny, and it makes you think about them along with the characters.
And in the end, I think the message is one of hope and empowerment. Even in a world with supernatural forces where destiny seems like it's calling the shots, we still have the power to make choices that affect our lives.
Yeah, it's like saying, okay, there might be things we can't control, but we're not powerless. We can choose how we react, how we fight, what we believe in. Pretty powerful stuff, especially for a show about demons and exorcists.
Totally. It reminds us that we're not defined by our past, our family, or what other people say about us. We have the power to decide who we are, what we fight for, what kind of mark we leave on the world.
And those choices, those moments of courage, of compassion, they can have a ripple effect. They can change things, even in a world that seems ruled by fate.
It's a good reminder that even small acts of kindness, of standing up for what's right, they matter. Maybe that's the truest form of free will. Choosing to act on our values, even when it's hard, even when it feels like everything's against us.
What a great way to put it. AO No Exorcist is more than just a cool anime. It's about finding yourself, breaking free from those expectations, making your own path in a world that wants to tell you who to be.
It's a story that says we all have the potential for both good and bad inside us, and our choices, our actions, they determine which way we go.
So to all our listeners, if you haven't seen Ao no Exorcist yet, give it a shot. It's an amazing ride, full of action, awesome characters, and those thought-provoking themes that stick with you. And hey, maybe it'll even make you think about your own choices, your own power to shape your life.
And always remember, even when things seem impossible, never underestimate the power of your choices. Even the smallest act of courage or kindness can change the world around you.
Beautifully said. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into Ao no Exorcist. We'll catch you next time for another adventure in exploring the stories that captivate us and make us think. All right, so choice versus destiny. It's kind of a big deal in Ao no Exorcist, wouldn't you say?
Oh, definitely. I mean, it's baked into the whole premise. You've got Rin, right? He's literally Satan's kid. You'd think his path is, already laid out for him, evil and all that. But he decides, nope, not going to do that. He chooses to be an exorcist, fight for good.
That's like he's giving fate the middle finger. I'm going to do my own thing. And that's what makes him so interesting to watch, that fight against what everyone expects.
Exactly. Just by existing, Rin challenges that whole destiny thing. Could have easily gone full demon, embrace the darkness. Everyone probably expected that, right? But he makes a conscious choice. He wants something different, something that aligns with, who he wants to be, not who people think he should be.
And it's not just Rin. Yukio, his brother, he's human, but he's always got this pressure to prove himself, live up to the whole prodigy exorcist thing. He's making choices too, even if it's because he feels like he has to, be worthy.
Yeah, good point. Yukio shows that even when your path seems kind of set, you're still making choices that impact how things play out. Could have just coasted on his talent, but he pushes himself, maybe to get out from under his brother's, demonic shadow. Who knows? Maybe it's just who he is.
So both of them, they're trying to define themselves on their own terms, not by what others say. And those choices, even if they come from different places, they end up putting them on these paths that make them face who they are, what they actually believe.
And that's where it gets even more interesting. Because they're making these choices, but they're also in this world, right? Demons, exorcists, this battle that's been going on forever. Makes you think, how much free will do they really have?
Whoa! Yeah, it's like they can choose, but only within certain limits. Their destinies might be tied together because of this ancient conflict. But it's how they react, how they face it, that's where the choices come in.
Exactly. It's that constant tension between free will and fate. And Ao no Exorcist doesn't shy away from that. You see those moments where characters are like, am I really in control here? Or am I just a pawn in some big cosmic game?
Heavy stuff. But that's what makes it so good to think about. It doesn't give you easy answers. Just throws these big, complicated questions about identity, choice, destiny, and makes you wrestle with them alongside the characters.
And I think ultimately the message is positive. It's saying even in a world with literal demons and ancient prophecies, we still have the power to make choices that matter.
Yeah, it's like, okay, there might be things we can't control, but we're not helpless. We can choose how we fight what we believe in. That's pretty inspiring, especially in a story like this.
It reminds us that who we are isn't decided by, our past, our family, what other people say. We get to decide that. What we fight for, what kind of impact we want to have.
And those choices, those little acts of courage or kindness, they can spread, right? They can change things, even if it feels like destiny has everything locked down.
It's a good reminder that those small things matter. Maybe that's what real free will is. Choosing to do what's right, even when it's tough, even when it feels like the whole world's against you.
This has been awesome. Ao no Exorcist. It's more than just a fun demon-fighting anime. It's about finding your own way, breaking those expectations, being who you are in a world that tries to tell you who to be.
It shows that we all have that potential for, both good and bad inside us. And it's our choices, the things we do, that decide which path we take.
So, to everyone listening, if you haven't seen it, check out Ao no Exorcist. It's action-packed, the characters are great, and it makes you think. You might even walk away questioning your own choices, realizing you have more power than you think to shape your own life.
And remember, even when things seem impossible, your choices have power. A little bit of courage, a little bit of kindness can change the world around you.
That's a great way to put it. Thanks for going on this deep dive with us into Ao no Exorcist. We'll see you next time, ready to explore more awesome stories and discover what makes them so captivating.